And we are live here to chat about tonight's mid-season finale. I sound a little more excited than I actually am. I mean, I'm pretty excited. Regardless, we're here to chat about tonight's mid-season finale of Suits, which was entitled Managing Partner. And you guessed it, the storyline had to do with who becomes managing partner, which, to be fair, has been a more interesting storyline all along than who's going to get the next name partner. Regardless, joining me as always is the ever lovely and ever patient Shana, who all season long has been putting up with my internet issues, and tonight is no exception, correct?
Apparently.
Yeah. So if you can see me or not, I mean, it's all right. If you can hear me, that's about good enough. And even then, however, I want to start with our usual rating tonight's episode as a mid-season. So not just as an episode, but as a mid-season finale. Rate tonight's episode on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being you couldn't stand anything about it, there was no redeeming factors or almost no redeeming factors, and a 5 being flawless, lovely. Of the 8 mid-season finales we've got so far, this is one of the best. Where would you put it? And of course, I will let Shana start this off with her rating, which for me, I've just watched the episode, but correct me if I'm wrong. Shana, you actually got to watch this a couple days ago, right?
I maybe watched it yesterday at a time when I shouldn't have.
That's fair. Understandable. Okay. So regardless, I'm going to toss it to you to rank our episode.
So you just made that more difficult for me because I feel like as a mid-season finale, but I was thinking in terms of just as an episode. It had some really, really good stuff right there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to call it a 4.
The literal last 5 seconds.
It was from 4406 to 4440 something. So it was 30 some seconds actually. Thank you. No. I guess like a 3.5 because it had like some strong stuff, but overall the story was kind of what we've been expecting it to be, and kind of like Lewis had a line that he's sick of the shit. Like,
I don't want to fault it. I know I sound like I'm faulting it for being what we expected it to be, and I really don't want to fault it for that, because I think it's worse when shows are like, oh, everybody's expecting this, so we'll do the opposite just to be different. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that. Like, write a good story for the sake of writing a good story. You know, if people expect it or if they don't expect it, that is not the primary component of good writing. Good writing is not just about, that's why, so, you'll have a fantastic movie or book or something that starts with like a flash forward to the end, and we know that this person dies or what, but it's the journey along it. I don't like when shows just surprise for the sake of surprising. So I'm not faulting it on that ground for being what we expected. It's the final Alex versus Sam showdown, and it could be neither Harvey nor Zane who wins. And so obviously it's going to be Lewis who becomes managing partner. And I think a lot of people have predicted some of those very specific elements, and a lot of people, even more people, predicted the general vibe and the general way it would go, even if the specifics were fuzzy. I don't mind that at all. If any, I think what I mind-ish is that it was so heavily focused on, this is Alex versus Sam and their final showdown. But I can't really fault them for that, because I get why they had to be that way. I talked about this last week. I get why Alex versus Sam had to be the storyline that introduces the two of them, or this incarnation of them. I get why it had to be now at this part of the season, and thus I get why the mid-season finale has to wrap it up. That said, it doesn't necessarily rank up there as like my top mid-season finale of all time. It's not the worst one though, but it's not it's not my favorite as a finale. As an individual episode, like you said, I think it was really well done. I will definitely throw out that I think that the directing on this episode was fantastic. The director of this episode was Silvertree, who's directed multiple episodes for Suits before, has always done a fantastic job. And I think that there is, for me, I don't always notice directing. That's not something that I know a ton about. I can notice like a couple good bits here and there, but I'm not an expert. But every time she directs an episode, I can tell the difference because she really captures the tone of Suits very well in her directing. So I'll give it that. But let's start with our highlights, because that was kind of a highlight for me, is just the directing in general. What are some of the highlights for you? What's bumping it up there to where even if it was just a regular episode, you would have ranked that pretty high, right?
Yeah, I think it was nice to see kind of the backstory of like why Zane and Sam were tight to begin with. And Lewis kind of, the outcast nerd got his day finally. And I mean, the Dari thing at the end was awesome. It's probably just more baiting, but it was awesome.
They were so cute. I feel like it was furthering this storyline idea that you and I know a lot of people on social media have talked about, that maybe Harvey and Donna have been together this whole time. Those of you watching live, are any of you on board with that theory? Any of you thought the same? Speaking of watching live, let's go over some comments as well. Victor says, I agree. It was a disappointing mid-season finale, so 3, maybe 3.5. Victoria agreed. Those were the two that I think I got confused before. Remember when I said I met one Victoria, but it wasn't the one. Regardless. Mm-hmm. Victoria says, I'd give it a 3. It's one of the weaker mid-season finales. All right. I think I feel like they wrote themselves into a corner where they really had no choice but for this to be the story. And with this being the story, they did it as best as they could. And I definitely agree with Shana, and I'm sure everybody else does too, that the final moments in it were very well done. Mm-hmm. But the Alex versus Sam stuff, I guess I just didn't really have a side. Mm-hmm. But back to you and your highlights. Did you pick a side by the end of this fight?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I had kind of a couple weeks ago maybe decided, well, I guess I'll side with Sam because Alex is a dude. But it was also, I mean, if you look at how Samantha got to be doing what she's doing, like, I don't know, she's almost a victim in some way. Like, she helped Zane out. She is the reason he had a firm where he was named partner instead of, going to jail or something, or at least being disbarred. And he promised her, like, one day it's going to be your turn. And she has for 12 years, who can we think of who's been waiting around for 12 years? Like, for 12 years, she's been waiting for what she was promised, and not only has she never gotten it, but like at one point he starts blaming all the shady shit she does for the reason why he can't promote her. And yet, like, she started doing shady shit for him and continued through all these years doing it for him. Like, for what reward? Like, I mean, she could have just turned his ass in and been done.
It kind of, when you put it that way, it really makes me feel like they're going above, and I take this as an absolute compliment to Harvey and Donna. I feel like they're going above and beyond to like try to recreate elements of Harvey and Donna's dynamic and other people, because I think Suits has already, like, at least on their social media, kind of confirmed or commented about the fact that Katrina and Brian can be a little bit similar to Harvey and Donna. And then you have a little bit of, now that you put it that way, a little bit of elements of Harvey and Donna's backstory, I guess, in Zane and Sam. Just a very different dynamic, but the way that they're supposed to be, like, inseparable, always have each other's back, like, when he wins, she wins, when she wins, he wins, they'll, like, go behind the law for each other, that sort of stuff.
I think it's backfiring on them because I bet they're trying to do it to take people off of, like, Darby. But all it does is highlight how there's something extra and different with those two that these other pairings that they're trying to make don't have. Like, it's not the same.
Mm.
They're trying to make it the same, I think, and it's not.
I think they're just kind of trying to recreate the magic of it. And I guess I kind of like the parallel. Like, I like the sort of parallels, at least with Katrina and Brian, because it gives it, like, we get to see Donna kind of react to that and what her thoughts are on that, which is kind of fun. Even though, of course, it's a different situation, but like just sort of similar dynamics, I think. It's just trying to recreate a dynamic that they know the viewers enjoy. Harvey and Donna really didn't have much tonight, so there's not really much to speak on there other than the last bit, which is very cute. Vixter in the chat says, that would be me, met, hello, hi. That's the correct Victoria. The other Victoria is good too. I just have not had the opportunity to meet her in person, alas. And Vixter also says, Lewis summed up the name partner fight when he said he was sick of it. He was channeling all of us. Yeah, I was kind of sick of the name partner fight by the end of it. But I was only sick of it because I didn't care whose name really got on the wall, although I was kind of rooting for Sam by default. So I think if I cared about who the fight was, I would care more about the court case, because I could recognize elements in the way they were the court case and the proceedings behind the scenes that were good or interesting, that in previous instances, I can think of like certain cases with like Jessica going to court before, where I was like invested and like really rooting for her, that it was fun to watch. And with these two, just because I wasn't super invested in either one, I guess I didn't care much, but I didn't dislike it. And then MM likes to write on Twitter, says, it felt like all the main characters took a back seat in a way. Did you feel that, Shana? Do you feel like the main characters took a back seat, or did you feel like it was just structured differently? Where were you at with that?
I feel like Harvey and Donna kind of both became the Jessica, in the sense that they were vitally important to what was going on, but they were in less scenes. I don't know that that's necessarily a backseat, though. I think it's just, if you're looking at quantity versus quality, they had definitely less quantity time, but it was just as quality as ever. And I think they are like trying really hard to get us to care about these characters so they can prove to the people with money that they have life left in them. Do I think it worked?
I think they're giving the main character, well, okay, so Lewis, they gave him a storyline. It was a clear storyline. It's a storyline inside and outside of the firm, and it's a storyline that is very closely tied to where his whole journey has been going this whole time. There's elements of the storyline that, you know, you and I have kind of talked to death about so far this season, about what we do and don't like about the direction of Lewis's storyline. But at least we can say that they definitely tried. They definitely progressed it forward. They're not pumping the brakes just for the sake of pumping the brakes, and they're giving him a real storyline. So credit where credit's due. There's things I haven't liked about the way they've written Sheila, but I think that tonight overall it was very well done and it made sense where it was going. And at least they're writing him going somewhere. You know, that makes perfect sense. With Alex and Sam, of course, they had some progression. Katrina was sort of on the back burner other than her minor tied to the story, but that makes sense because she is not like a main character, or has not been a main character this whole time. So it kind of just leaves the fact that Harvey and Donna are kind of just on the same level as some of the new people like Alex, Sam, and Zane. They're, you know, they just have the same amount of screen time and storyline as them, which I get, it's an ensemble show and so it's fine, but some acknowledgement that they've been there longer, that with not that necessarily gives them seniority in the firm, that gives them seniority in the plot to audience ratio. We care about them a little bit more. I don't know. It would be nice if their storyline was progressing as well, and it doesn't seem like it is, other than the tongue-in-cheek theories that they're together and they just haven't said so. It's just, you know, they give them this little bit of honor at the end of like, they get to have the last lines in the episode or something, but do they get any progression though? I don't know. I guess that's my con.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about this before too. I think it's a little bit at this point really not doing the show any favors. You're giving the audience barely enough, and you keep tricking people and tricking people and tricking people to get them coming back, and eventually at some point they're not going to come back. And I'm not usually one that's like, oh, well, the two people that I want together aren't together, so I'm not watching this, because there's so much else that goes into a television show. But it's not just that they're not together, it's that they're going out of their way to write them apart, yet give enough of a hint of together, because they know that's where their audience is, and yet they're kind of like pettily not giving the audience what makes sense, what their own, like, it's either their writing or acting or directing or something that's not meshing with the third part, or maybe it's all of those things are not meshing with the intent, but one way or another, like when your characters and your actors and the way that they relate in a scene points a certain way, you're only hurting yourself by not either going the direction that it's pointing or finding a way to course correct to make it fit your story. Like, but people talk all the time about writing. Sometimes you sit down and you expect that you're going to write whatever, and it gets away from you, and you have to go with what's actually happening. Sometimes the characters in a novel say, hey, that's not how this works. And a writer goes back and says, oh, well, I guess I got to support this then. Like, good writing supports where the characters are going. It does not fit an agenda that, regardless of how things look, and to write it off with the line that a lot of fans I know take issue with, myself on both the fan side and on the review side, like the whole, oh, you see what you want to see thing. That's not even true. I mean, there are people that have watched this show that have come into it with no knowledge and been like, oh, wow, they're together, they're the main couple on the first viewing. Like, if they come in the middle of the show, if they come at the beginning, like, this is what people see, and it's not just because they want to.
Yeah, the you see what you want to see thing always kind of bothers me, because when I say Donna's middle name is Evelyn, when the show says it's Roberta, because I want it to be Evelyn because of fan dynamic backstory stuff, that's me seeing what I want to see. Like, the show tells me her middle name is Roberta, and I'm like, no, we already put it on like 17 to 20 sites as Evelyn prior to this. I'm just going to choose to see what I want to see, and, the creators can do what they want. I can do what I want. And that is me seeing what I want to see. Right. What is not me seeing what I want to see is me seeing that Harvey and Donna have had this natural growth and storyline and progression and all of these plot points of, like, Donna encouraged him to forgive his mother, and, he felt, like he was losing family when he was losing Donna, and like all of these plot points that seem to indicate that they're growing closer. They can't even get closer together than what they already are. They're growing in awareness of what their dynamic is. And then those plot points go nowhere or get erased or whatever. That's not me seeing what I want to see. That's me seeing that they won't take a risk with the writing. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so hesitant to even criticize Lewis's storyline sometimes, even though I will kind of go in on, like, the way they've written Sheila, because even if I don't necessarily like elements of Lewis's storyline, at least they gave him a storyline. At least they tried. Mm-hmm. Going 8 seasons with 2 characters and just giving them little hints of, like, oh, I guess, we could write romance between these 2 characters, couldn't we? They have fantastic chemistry. You wrote one line where, like, she called him pretty, teehee, like it's cute, but yeah, was that a lot of effort? Like,
I mean, he is.
Do you write that, take that paycheck and call it a day? Like, we can do better. We can do so much better. It's not that it's not good. It's fantastic. I'm here doing an after show for it. I love it. Like, this is a great show. I love characters that used to be on it. I love characters that are currently on it. I love the micro writing. And most of the time, I at least like the macro writing. Micro is the dialogue back and forth. Macro is the overall storyline. Micro writing is almost always pretty great. Macro is kind of, it's hit or miss, but there's enough good on the show to where I really enjoy it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be rooting for better. But for Harvey and Donna, I don't know what it is. My theories on what it is. I think that they're scared to do it wrong, so they just don't do it at all.
Which is boring,
but There's no like moral judgment on it. It's not morally right or wrong. It's writing fiction. It's fine. I just think that's it's a waste, I guess. It's a waste because there's certain things you do where you can't come back from them anymore. Or I guess there's certain things you don't do that you can't come back from them. So for example, I think the fear that's keeping, or I don't know, fear, hesitance, whatever, and this is me assuming the best, to be honest, is that they are taking these two characters who have been kind of primary characters carrying the show. They're taking them seriously, and therefore it's some sort of hesitance to go where they can't come back from. Like once they get together, we can't come back from that. But by not progressing that storyline forward, and let me tell you, we have all, unless you are super, super young, you have probably watched some show that has gone ages, or read some book series that has gone ages, dragging on a storyline forever between love interests, where they still progressed it forward. And it took years, but there was angst and there was this build. There's iconic Anna Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables series, things like that most of us have heard of where they drag it out for years, but they give you these bits of angst and banter and back and forth and romantic moments and heartache and all that sort of stuff that kind of keep you into it. And a lot of that is lacking from Harvey and Dawn because they won't bring them forward. And while you're not risking anything, where it's like you're not going somewhere you can't come back from, you're also missing all these opportunities that you can't get back. They can't get back the fact that we will never see Mike and Rachel's reaction to it. We won't. They might bring Mike back for like half a second at some point, but you can't get Mike and Rachel back. It's too late now. We can never get the whole cast together at Harvey and Donna's wedding or engagement party or like happy you hooked up party. We may not even see Jessica's reaction, and she certainly won't be heavily involved in the storyline. There's moments you can't come back from by waiting that long. And you also, like, I guess from like, I don't really care that much about like ratings or viewership or whatever, but naturally any show, no matter how fabulous it is, the viewers die off over time. You start with the largest amount you're going to have. It goes down as the seasons go on. That's not bad. That's just how TV works. But, you wait till you just have the last little bit at the end. And if you do care about ratings or sharing your story with people, I feel like that would be kind of disappointing too. And the storyline pattern of a couple, like the main couple of the show, which I recognize, Harvey and Donna, the main couple of the show, whatever, not getting together until the very, very end when the show's canceled or something. That's tired. That's old. Mm-hmm. We can do better. And if you really think that they'd be a great couple, worthy of being the main couple of the show, which the show, the powers that be, clearly do think they're worthy of being the main power of the show, also they have no other alternative, you would have to kind of think that they would be fun to write together. Not just write getting together, but like being together. Like, they would be fun.
Like, I would think that, especially after holding yourself back for so long, that at some point you just want to have these scenes where, your main couple is like dropping innuendo at work to the point where it gets dicey, or, clearly, Mike and Rachel were, you'd see them at home together. Like, it doesn't take away from anything. Mike still had his drama. Rachel still got to do her Innocence Project case. Like, Harvey can still battle it out with Lewis for a name partner for the 56th time. And it doesn't take away from, like, I get that their actual intent is a legal drama, but the personal is what makes it interesting. The back and forth about partners is not new or exciting or interesting. This is a character-driven story, and for the writers to when I said like it was wrong to do what they're doing with holding back, like I don't mean like morally. I mean in terms of it hurts the writing. You're letting things go that should have been huge with all this buildup and then a lack of consistency, and you're trying so hard to make something unnatural instead of just doing the natural thing. And
Speaking of unnatural, do you want me to drop that spoiler?
Which one?
The one for the back half of the season. If you don't want spoilers of any kind whatsoever, mute me for like literally 10 seconds. Donna's getting a boyfriend who's not Harvey in the back half of the season. Okay, you can unmute me. Go off.
It's stupid. Like, you cannot close the first half of your season with that coupley behavior and then do that. Like, it.
Okay. Yes, I agree. Obviously, I agree. I just went off on a rant about it. However, I'm going to sip my big girl vodka. I'm going to be a Suits apologist again. I'm going to be overly optimistic again. I'm going to put that all aside because I'm going to be the optimistic one and you can be the pessimistic one, which by default means you'll be right, but that's okay. And I'm going to say that maybe Donna getting a boyfriend will result in some of the angst and fun buildup that we were hoping for. Maybe.
But
I'm putting on my Suits apologist hat, so here we are.
Counterpoint to that, I would love for them to kind of parallel the out of nowhere bullshit Paula storyline, but why does Harvey deserve 10 episodes and Donna only deserves 6? If they do that.
I mean, I don't want to see Donna hooking up with someone for 10 episodes.
I didn't want to see Harvey hooking up with somebody for 10 episodes, but if Harvey got...
Maybe we learned from our mistakes. Maybe we've grown. Stormy in the chat says she hasn't watched the episode yet, but she just wanted to say hi, ladies. Hi, Stormy. I'm very honored that you're watching us even before the episode. Wow. We are kind of going off on little tangents and rants, but it's because we love the show. And actually, the mid-season finale is not that bad. It's actually kind of fun. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. No. Very good episode as it stands. Vic in the chat says she's been pretty positive all season. That is very true. She was very positive. Got my spirits back up middle of the season. But she says, I admit, even I was underwhelmed by the Darby hook at the end. I thought they'd leave us with a little more of a tease in that. Yeah, I kind of wanted them to, but then again, like, taking into account everything I've said so far, or I guess complained about so far, we wouldn't want Harvey and Donna actually getting together in the mid-season finale. I would like to see more progression. I'm right there with Shana and Vic. I would like to see more progression for them, more fun. You know, like, we've all seen some very good, like, angsty, cool moments from lots and lots of couples, and we'd love to see something similar, but the Darby version of that for Darby. So I kind of wanted more than just, like, flirty, let's go off for drinks and hang off each other type of thing. But like I said on Twitter, I'll take what I can get. Vic also says maybe it won't get renewed. Then they have 6 episodes to wrap this up. That is my nightmare. I think it will. I think it's pretty much guaranteed a renewal for next season, which would be season 9. It's season 10 that I think is kind of up in the air. Next season might be their last season, but I think next season is pretty. I shouldn't speak too soon. And Shana, you might know more than me, but I think season 9 renewal is pretty well in the books, isn't it?
I don't have any information. Usually what happens is, like, the big full-timers get the scoop and they post it, and then it's in the official release like 2 hours later, and I'm like, that's nice. I already learned this from the internet. I will say, like, if I'm a network person, I would be hesitant to renew it much longer. I think we're dragging in a lot of ways. Not just Darby, like there's only so many ways you can retell the name partner struggle or the we're going to lose a firm this week struggle. The other issue, though, that I will say is, though there is nothing definite, it would be a little bit of a shock for me for this show not to come back to be kind of a lead-in or companion piece to the first season of Gina's show. That would be odd to me. And I think about, shows that have spinoffs like Buffy. Buffy and Angel were originally, paired. I know Big Bang got their young children and whatever. But, usually when there's a spinoff, like the originals and Vampire Diaries ran together for a couple of years before Vampire Diaries ended. So I would be a little bit shocked if we went forward with insert spinoff name here.
Whatever Gina Torres' spinoff is going to be called.
But at the same time, with that being said, we do have the back 6 for this year, which I imagine would premiere around the same time as that other show. So there's your pairing. execs don't have to decide right away. I just personally,
Yeah, renewal week I think is in May, so we certainly have plenty of time till then. I think they'll be renewed for season 9, or at least part of it. Could be wrong, but I feel like they will be. Not saying they should be. I think this show should have wrapped at 7 seasons, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think they should have wrapped like somewhere around that 6 or 7 mark. 6 if they had been on the ball the whole time. 7 giving them a bit of a grace period for times where they had unnecessary storylines or something that they could have worked out and wrapped with. But I think wrapping at 7 would have been a really clean story, but certainly not complaining that it's still here. Love the show. I'm like, it's here. I'm here. We're out. Like I've been here since season 1, episode 1. Watch it live, and I'll be here when everybody dies in the end. Like, but yeah, I think from a business perspective, obviously it still makes sense to redo it because they did. If it didn't, they wouldn't. I'm very much like TV Grim Reaper's side on that 100%. I think it's the money, it's business, that's that, and that doesn't bother me at all. But I think from like a story perspective, it's all set up to be like a clean wrap in season 7 when Mike and Rachel naturally left. They just didn't get some of the main cast storyline together in time, and certainly still had the option to get a renewal, which is lovely. They were still making money, which is fantastic. All of that said, I've kept you way over time. I've kept everybody in the chat way over time. Stormy in the chat says, I think I'm more excited for Jessica's spinoff than another season of Suits. I cannot fault you there. I'm very excited for Miss Gina Torres' spinoff as well. Also, she looked really lovely at the Emmy parties, in case anyone is curious.
Sidebar about that. Can we sidebar? Like that woman's social media game, like for someone who waited so long, whoever she's got managing for her, or if it's actually her doing it herself, like that is a high level game. Like it takes years to be that good.
I will say she kind of learned from she is the best, so like I don't need to say she learned from the best, but in terms of like social media game, the Suits cast had 2, at some points 3 social media rock stars on it. Sarah Rafferty, especially, I know like she's ageless and immortal, but especially like a lot of actresses in their 40s really don't get social media. Sarah Rafferty has like Instagram down. Like she does like live tweet to it. Like Sarah Rafferty's fantastic on Twitter. Patrick J. Adams as well. He definitely has like the humor and the understanding of social media, although he's kind of off and on about using it. When he does use it, he can be very artistic and stuff with it. And back when Meghan Markle was on social media and used it more for the show, she was fantastic with it as well. And she was also, especially at earlier seasons when she wasn't yet like a big name or whatever, like she was really interactive with us fans and stuff. And obviously fantastic with Instagram and everything too, like have her whole lifestyle blog and, the tag and everything out of it. So all of that said, if Gina was ever wanting to learn social media and all of those dynamics, I'm sure she saw that constantly happening around her. So she has what she needs to be a social media powerhouse, and she clearly is already, which is fantastic. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. I usually end with a wish list for the back half of the season, but I think everything we went over this whole episode was that wish list. But I do want to hear more from you guys. So if you're watching live or watching after the fact, the Twitter contact information for both me and Shana is down below, and you can come chat with us over hiatus about everything you would like to see in the back 6, and if and when Suits gets renewed for season 9, what you would like to see in season 9 as well. Shana, what would you like to leave them with over hiatus?
Just remember that sometimes showrunners don't even know what they have on their hands, and there's something called fan fiction. And there's something called, if you're going to be accused of doing it, go all out. So if we only see what we want to see, Harvey and Donna have been together all season, and nothing that happens going forward can take that away from us. period.
That's a good one. CL in the chat says, OMG, I'm so upset I'm late. Hi, how late am I? CL, you are not too late to say hi to us live, and you can always go back and rewatch this episode or hop on Twitter and come talk to us afterwards. But thank you for joining, and thank everyone else for joining all season. Both Shana and I obviously love the show. That's why we watch it and review it and do everything that we do. But we also very much love all of the show's fans. I would say they're pretty A+. I can see Shana nodding in the chat. See, even pessimist Shana loves you all. That's when you know you're really loved.
You guys are great. You have no idea compared to some of what else is out there. You guys are amazing with the pessimism. Like, I've been through it with fandoms, man. But this one is always, since the whole time I've been doing this, you guys are great.
Yes, absolutely. It makes me look forward to the last 6 episodes, even if Miss Donna Paulson has a boyfriend who's not Harvey, which is fair. We'll still be able to come together and talk about it, which is fantastic. So come talk to me over hiatus. I will be chatting about some other shows on this channel. Ooh, they might be CW shows. Ooh, it might be Arrow. I'm so sorry. Come join me if you're on that as well. And Shana will be reviewing many other things on her Twitter. She writes about a lot of stuff.
I have no idea what I'm doing this fall, and this fall starts like next week, but
shout out. So, oh, CL says, well, just say I love the ending. So ready for new shows. Arrow. Ooh. I'm not the only one on that train, apparently. Well, till Arrow, till Suits, till whatever I'm reviewing next. I will see you very soon. Goodbye.